I recently discovered that my wife has been manipulating me throughout our 6-year marriage. At first, I thought my actions were dictated by love for Carol because I wholeheartedly sought to fulfill her every wish. Now that I think about it, I realize I went along with her wishes only to avoid possible conflicts. Looking back, it's clear that Carol exploited me throughout our marriage. We met during our college years when I, a senior, and she, a sophomore, were introduced by mutual friends. Carol was undeniably attractive, and I was interested in her from the start. At one of the parties, after a few beers, I plucked up the courage to approach her. When I asked her to dance, she readily agreed. We struck up a conversation, and I couldn't resist uttering one of the usual lines, "What brings a girl like you to a place like this?" I admitted that I didn't really like dating, which made her laugh. That evening we drank too much, and she told me she had recently broken up with her boyfriend and was looking for some carefree fun. Intoxicated, we ended up in my dorm room, leaving a lid on the door handle to let my roommate know we wanted privacy. It was the first time I used this technique, as my roommate usually attracted the attention of women. I barely remember the events of that intimate encounter, but judging by the appearance of the bed the next morning, it looks like we had a nice time. After that, I cooked breakfast for her and then escorted her to her dorm. She politely refused my offer to meet again, saying she was not ready for a new romantic relationship. She noted, however, that if we happened to cross paths at social events, she wouldn't avoid me. Looking back, it was clear that she didn't see me as meeting her standards. Sometimes I saw her at various parties, but she usually spent time with her friends and danced with other guys. Given her attractive appearance, it was quite natural. But when I asked her to dance with me, she didn't refuse. I wasn't sure if she was really interested in me or just being polite. As for my background, I grew up in a loving family with strong values. But during college, I often attended parties and abused alcohol. Besides Carol, I had intimate relationships with several other women during my student years. It seemed like these women were ready for intimacy with anyone, but not for the price of an entrance ticket. Perhaps this was how I avoided hiring a professional woman. Unfortunately, with this lifestyle, I felt unhappy, which was noticed by my roommate, Mike. A friendly guy from Chicago, Mike and I developed a close friendship. He shared my interest in our college's exceptional computer science program. Despite our differences, he was more sociable, and I was shy. We supported each other in school, and our friendship grew to such an extent that we felt like brothers. Mike played an important role in my social life, providing me with invitations to parties where I gained unforgettable experiences. He had an extensive network of connections, making him a truly wonderful friend. But the moment that sealed our friendship happened when Mike slipped on the steps when leaving the classroom. Reacting quickly, I stood behind him and gently pulled his head back, preventing injury. I reached out my hand to his open mouth and carefully secured my fingers behind the turned-out tongue, gently returning it to its natural position. When the airway was free, he took a deep breath, and I felt a wave of relief when color returned to his face. The sight of my best friend in pain almost brought me to tears. His eyes flew open and met mine, and I saw the worry written on my face as I held his head. "What's wrong, Mike? What is it?" he asked weakly. I reassured him, "Don't worry, Mike, you're going to be fine. It was just a blunder." He asked me to let him go, insisting, "I'm fine, really?" Reluctantly, I released my grip and helped him to his feet. When the medics finished examining Mike, we were finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. After receiving a positive conclusion, we returned to the dorm. As we approached the entrance, Mike's attention was attracted by a limo parked at the entrance with a driver standing at the back door. Mike turned in the direction of the limo and walked up to him. The driver quickly opened the back door, from which Mike's father, Tony Calhoun, emerged. Tony Calhoun was an impressive figure, standing tall and weighing around 220 pounds. With a smile, he hugged Mike tightly, overcome with a sense of relief when he realized that his son was unharmed. "Dad, this is Tom," Mike introduced. Tony just nodded, saying, "I know who it is." Tony's smile blossomed as he looked at me. "I am forever indebted to you for saving my son," he said gratefully. To everyone else, I presented myself as just the head of the new product development department at one of the operating companies. By the age of 26, I had laid all the necessary foundations and was ready for a relationship with a woman. But my path was not easy due to borderline social anxiety and the fact that I no longer used my intelligence to attract partners. Despite these obstacles, I stubbornly tried to make acquaintances by visiting various online platforms and social gatherings. Finally, at the age of 28, I met a special girl, Lauren. She was undoubtedly the most attractive woman who ever reciprocated my romantic feelings. Not only did she have a beautiful face, but she also had an amazing figure. Looking back at our rather ordinary courtship, I realized it was more superficial than I initially thought. I was so fascinated by her appearance, especially her impressive qualities, that I did not notice some of the qualities usually appreciated in a partner. Throughout our relationship, one thing that caught my eye was her complete disinterest in my work. She never showed curiosity or asked about it. Lauren seemed uninterested and pretended not to understand anything when I mentioned my job, showing a complete lack of curiosity. Surprisingly, her lack of interest became her advantage when it came to the prenuptial agreement. Gail, a respected lawyer who helped me create corporations, strongly recommended that I sign a prenuptial agreement. Despite my hesitation, Gail made it clear that she would no longer work with me if I did not present the prenuptial agreement to Lauren before the wedding. Gail drew up a simple prenuptial agreement that excluded from common ownership any shares, interests, or royalties related to companies or patents owned by either party in the amount of more than 10% on the date of marriage or acquired during the marriage. Lauren asked her father to review the document, after which she signed it without hesitation. The intimate relationship between Lauren and me has always been satisfying. After 2.5 years of marriage, we were expecting our first child. During a spontaneous visit to my parents, I unexpectedly met Jenny on the street. We decided to meet for a cup of coffee, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that she, as always, looked amazing. She talked enthusiastically about her latest project, and I couldn't help but admire her confidence and style. Despite my offer to buy my parents a new house in a more elite area, they preferred to stay in their friendly village with numerous friends. Meeting Jenny and having a cup of coffee with her made my quick visit even more memorable. I told her a familiar story about a job for hire. Jenny was in the process of creating an adult website but ran into financial difficulties. After asking her delicately about the situation, I found out that she only needed another $10,000 to successfully launch the site. I promised to meet her again at the coffee shop in a week at the same time, and mentioned that I might be able to introduce her to an investor. Jenny was delighted at the prospect, hugged me warmly, and kissed me on the cheek. As I left, I thought about this for a week. $10,000 seemed insignificant to me, and although the business she was interested in was questionable, I liked her anyway. A week later, we met again, and she looked even more stunning than before. She was dressed more provocatively, emphasizing her flawless figure, which I had the pleasure of observing back in my student years. At the same time, her face and hair looked even more radiant than before. As soon as the coffee was placed in front of us, I handed her an envelope with $10,000 in cash. Jenny was stunned, tears streaming down her face. I'd never seen her like this, given her rugged appearance. Then she offered me ownership of the site, but I refused, insisting that the money was a gift without any conditions. She made a tempting offer, running her hand over my thigh and promising to make love to me like never before. I think that with her determination and physique, she would have fulfilled her promise, but at that moment I respectfully refused, expressing my love for my wife instead. When we were saying goodbye, Jenny, with tears in her eyes, remarked, "Your wife is very lucky," but she offered her help anyway. I replied, "Just be successful." Despite having wonderful children, one might assume that I considered Lauren an excellent mother, but that wasn't the case. Our main differences arose due to our parenting styles. I couldn't pinpoint the exact reason for this. Maybe it was just jealousy, but Lauren's relationship with Amber was strained. She was too strict, and her remarks were sometimes harsh. I repeatedly observed that Lauren often mistreated Amber. I could not become an auctioneer. This was the field of activity of my father and his employee, Bob. Growing up, I had no idea how most married couples behave since I lived only with my parents. But I couldn't help but notice that they seemed to be closer to each other than Carol and I were. For the first 2 years of our life together, I worked and Carol pursued her education. In the evenings, we stayed at home with our daughter Lily, watching TV while she played on the floor. Our intimate meetings took place about twice a week, and I always put Carol's pleasure at the forefront. As far as I remember, she never made any complaints. After Lily was born, Carol decided to start taking birth control pills, since we didn't want to have more children at that time. Everything seemed to be going well until Carol graduated. When I asked her if she wanted to work at our firm, she replied that she would like to do billing or work as a secretary in a law office. Eventually, she got a job at a large law firm, but as a secretary. Although I thought the extra income would be useful, Carol ended up spending it only on herself. But it is important to note that I had a stable income, and I could provide for all our needs. Ever since Carol started receiving a salary, our property began to seem insufficient to her. She insisted on buying a new car, and a sporty one at that. Soon her demands extended to furniture and household appliances. I resolutely refused to purchase brand new furniture and household appliances. If she wanted everything to be new, she had to bear the costs herself. Showing stubbornness, she pursued her desires, as her grandparents taught her. In the end, I compromised by agreeing to take on half of the costs of new furniture and appliances. At the same time, I never saw a penny of the rest of her earnings and did not even know her exact income. When it came time to file tax returns, my wife insisted that her superiors advised us to file returns separately. Trusting her, I agreed, not knowing that in fact her superiors had never given her such advice. Later, it became clear to me that she just didn't want me to know about her income. Interestingly, she always bought clothes herself, and her closet was overflowing with a variety of things. Some of the outfits she wore to the office seemed too revealing and provocative to me. Whenever I tried to point this out, an argument inevitably arose. Surprisingly, after just 6 months of work, she said that she needed an evening break with friends. She wanted to spend time she called her own. As a result, I learned that every Friday night she went out with her friends. As a rule, she returned home by midnight. I had no complaints about it because I played golf twice a week and had no reason for dissatisfaction. When the golf season was over, I decided to join a bowling team consisting of other colleagues from our office, sponsored by Dad's business. That's how we lived until Lily started going to school. Carol made clothes the night before, and I always woke up with Lily. We had breakfast together, and then I drove her to school. I usually had to pick her up unless there were any problems. In such cases, my mom would take her to her house until either Carol or I could pick her up. Over time, I noticed that Carol and I were drifting apart. It was a gradual change, but I felt it happening. She never liked my friends and was polite to them only when we were around. But behind their backs, she called them cranks, nerds, and other derogatory terms. She had her own group of friends whom she invited to chat and play cards. Despite these disagreements, I always tried to play the role of a supportive husband. I constantly tried to avoid any conflicts and never felt much love for her friends. They reminded me of my student years when conversations often revolved around discussing intimate life, and their gatherings always boiled down to excessive drinking. If I decided not to join, it was almost guaranteed to lead to a quarrel. Sometimes it seemed to me that men were flirting with Carol, and when I expressed my concerns to her, she just brushed them off with a laugh. In fact, I was often the object of their jokes. During this period, there were evenings when Carol worked later and later. Lily and I had an indissoluble bond. We became the closest friends, and she completely trusted me, sharing all the details of her studies at school. I was always there for her every night and helped her with her homework. Lily was genuinely passionate about her studies, and I admired her dedication. Being present at the teachers' meetings was a must for me because I wanted to be close to Lily in all areas of her life. At home, Carol continued to treat Lily with kindness, but this did not satisfy her longing for her mother's presence. Despite all her efforts, Lily longed for Carol to be around more and for real quality time spent together. When Lily expressed a desire for her mother to attend school events, Carol inevitably replied that she had her own work responsibilities, emphasizing the need to contribute to the financial stability of the family. After being married for about 6 years, I started going online often late at night after putting Lily to bed. It was at these moments that I came across various stories about unfaithful wives. The more I delved into these stories, the more I found disturbing similarities between the behavior described and that of Carol. Over the years, the realization of this made me torn between doubts about my own sanity and suspicions of Carol's infidelity. Despite her outstanding acting skills, I couldn't shake the conviction that I was living with an unfaithful wife. I became very vigilant, closely following her conversations on the phone. It didn't escape me that she either abruptly stopped the conversation or abruptly changed the subject when I entered the room. She constantly deleted all messages and often cleared the call log. I noticed that when she was out with friends, the next day she carefully washed her clothes, especially her underwear. There were other hints throughout our relationship. After returning from a party, she showed no interest in intimacy. When I had to participate in meetings, Lily often stayed overnight with my parents. I came up with the idea of hiring a private detective, but doubted the expediency of this in our state, where everything, including divorces, was usually divided equally. Impressed by the stories I heard, I thought about buying surveillance equipment. But deep down, I knew that Carol was cheating on me. Besides, I couldn't afford such equipment. I was most worried about Lily because it was because of her that I stayed in a relationship with Carol. If we divorced, I was afraid that I would have few opportunities to spend time with Lily, who meant the whole world to me. Carol began to go out with friends more often using any excuse to escape. Sometimes I accompanied her, but I did not find any pleasure in these trips. She often behaved defiantly with other men, seemingly not caring about my reaction. At some point, I realized that I was constantly falling short of expectations. Our possessions paled in comparison to what her friends had. Although we still engaged in intimacy, it became a rare occurrence, and I felt happy if it happened once a month. It seemed that she no longer got any pleasure from it, and I decided that she was just fulfilling a sense of duty toward me. I continued to maintain the relationship only for the sake of Lily, and now it seemed wrong to me. One day, everything collapsed when I unexpectedly returned home from a business trip a day ahead of schedule without warning anyone about my arrival. I cautiously approached the front door and saw an unfamiliar car parked at the entrance. I silently opened the door and went inside. There was a light on in the living room, but no one was there. I distinctly heard sounds coming from our bedroom. Unexpectedly, I found Carol having intimate sex on our bed, which caused me shock and disappointment. This was not surprising since John, the manager of the fitness center that Carol attended, had a habit of flirting with her. But this time, he was caught in the act. It's worth noting that John's wife, Amanda, is well known for her refined facial features and hands. Although her physique is no less impressive, the question remains, why did John decide to betray his amazing spouse, who is considered ideal, for the sake of someone rated lower at only 7 points? I've known Amanda for some time now, and she's one of the few people Carol knows that I genuinely like. Suddenly I walked in on them. Carol, surprised by my arrival, asked why I hadn't called in advance. Annoyed, she demanded that I leave the room so they could get dressed. In response, I casually mentioned that it might be worth calling Amanda and inviting her over. But John, having heard this conversation, threatened me with physical violence if I told Amanda about what had happened. Standing still, I realized that John was capable of carrying out his threat, and I doubted my ability to defend myself. It was pointless to resist. In the end, I would only get hurt, and Carol would get satisfaction from witnessing this. I left the room and heard a faint murmur, but the door was already closed. John came out first, his tone full of anger. "Look, I was serious about Amanda. If she finds out the truth, you'll end up in the hospital. Do you understand?" All I could say was a request for him to leave my house. He turned around and left without saying another word. Then Carol appeared, fixing her gaze on me. "Okay, now you know. I tried to hide it from you, but I knew that sooner or later you would find out the truth," Carol confessed. "I want to get a divorce. I'll start the paperwork tomorrow. I sincerely wish you would just leave." She looked at me and laughed. "You cannot leave me, as this will lead to a divorce in which I will be entitled to half of your property. From a financial point of view, you just can't afford it. Besides, think about how it will affect our beloved daughter. How will you explain the situation to her? However, I'm going to be honest with her. She's a smart girl and can accept the truth. Besides, you rarely come here anyway. I'm not leaving and you don't have the strength to make me. If you want to avoid me, I suggest you move into the guest room," Carol answered. I decided to leave the house and pick up Lily. It was extremely important for me to talk to her and tell her about the real state of affairs. I desperately wanted to shield her from the truth, but there was no getting away from the fact that I couldn't stay with her mother. After picking her up from school, I decided to invite her out for pizza before breaking the news. "Lily, I need to discuss something important with you," I began, searching for the right words. "It's about your mom and me." Her answer took me by surprise. "You're getting a divorce, aren't you, Daddy?" I nodded, wanting to dispel her anxiety. "Yes, but I wanted to tell you myself so that you don't get too upset. I'm sorry, honey, but your mom and I can't be together anymore," I explained. Her next words pierced my heart. "You found out she cheated on you, didn't you, Dad?" I took a deep breath, realizing that the truth had finally come out. "I knew about it for a long time, and I tried my best to protect you from it, but I knew that one day you would find out," I admitted. Her innocent request followed. "Can I live with you, Daddy? Are you saying that you knew about Mom's affair and deliberately hid it from me?" I asked, my voice full of confusion. Lily, my 6-year-old daughter, looked at me with a mixture of love and concern. "Dad, I love you very much, and I didn't want you to suffer," she confessed. "I thought if you didn't find out, it wouldn't hurt you." Her words startled me. How could my young daughter be burdened with such knowledge? "So you're saying that you kept this secret to protect me from pain?" I asked, still trying to make sense of everything that was happening. "And how long have you known about this?" Lily's eyes met mine, filled with wisdom that didn't match her years. "I've known about this since I saw Mom with Uncle Joe a few months ago," she said, and there was sadness in her voice. "I was hoping it was just a one-time thing between them, but eventually I noticed her with Warren, that guy from the grocery store whose last name I couldn't remember. Moreover, I noticed that she talks to her friends too often and goes to parties. Dad, I'm sorry for hiding this from you, but deep down, I knew you'd find out the truth sooner or later. It's just a pity that it turned out later." Dear God, my precious daughter knew about her mother's infidelity, but decided not to talk about it to spare my feelings. Involuntarily, I felt compelled to ask how she found out about her mother's infidelities. It turned out that Uncle Joe wasn't really her uncle. Lily just called him that out of respect at her mother's direction. "My dear, you're just lovely," I said, fixing my gaze on her. "Tell me, did Mom do anything with this uncle in your presence?" "No, Daddy," she replied. "You were on a business trip and I was staying with my friend Stacy nearby. I returned home to pick up my bike, and when I entered the garage, I heard strange noises coming from the house. Looking inside, I saw Uncle Joe with Mom in his arms. Realizing what they were doing, I quietly left." "Are you sure, Lily?" I asked. "Yes, Daddy," she confirmed. "I heard similar sounds between you and Mom, only you always closed the door. Mom didn't know about my presence, and I was afraid to confide in you. I knew it would hurt you. As for Warren, I didn't see anything. I heard Mom talking to someone on the phone and called his name. She informed him that I would go to my grandmother later. Just before I left, I was already preparing a bag for the night when he suddenly entered the room. He quickly hugged Mom and kissed her on the lips, unaware of my presence. They did not know that I had witnessed this moment. Mom quickly told him that he should wait until I left. When I left the bedroom, he just smiled at me, thanked Mom, and left. The next morning, when Grandma dropped me off from the car, he was still there, pretending to have forgotten something, maybe even milk. "Dad, I may be small, but I'm not naive," she said. Hearing her words, I was torn between anger and a smile, realizing that everything was really over between Carol and me. Regardless of the consequences, I felt indifferent. After returning home, Lily hardly spoke to her mother. If she answered direct questions, she was otherwise silent. The next morning, I accompanied Lily to school and then met with John, my lawyer. He confirmed Carol's claim that our property would be divided equally, but there were a few unexpected twists that Carol didn't know about yet. I turned to John and asked him to assist in expediting the hearing of the case, as I urgently wanted to evict Carol from the house. The idea of staying in the same house with her was completely undesirable to me. On the way home, I stopped by my mother and asked her to take Lily in for a few days. I informed her about the impending divorce from Carol and expressed concern for Lily's well-being in this situation. My mother kindly assured me that I could take as much time as I needed, and I promised her that I would visit Lily every evening. Later, when I arrived home, Carol met with me and presented her demands. She insisted on getting as much as possible along with a substantial alimony payment. She even had the audacity to demand alimony. What incredible stupidity on her part. It became clear to me that she had not told the lawyer the whole truth. Without saying a word to her, I just went to bed. The next day, my lawyer John informed me that he had successfully scheduled a hearing on custody of the children in their residence for Monday. Returning home in the evening, Carol screamed, "How can you be so stupid? You're accusing me of being unfaithful. Admittedly, I received legal documents at work, but I didn't have any concrete evidence." Again, I refrained from arguing with her. Despite a strong desire for revenge, my main goal was to get custody of Lily. If I mistreated Carol, it wouldn't be very favorable. We attended Judge Smith's hearing on Monday. I picked up Lily from school and brought her with me. Carol was present with her lawyer, and John, my lawyer, met us there. "Why is Lily here?" Carol asked. "She is involved in the divorce and should have the right to decide where to live," I replied. "Children should be with their mother," Carol objected. "Well, I suppose we'll leave it to the judge to make that decision," I replied calmly. We all entered the judge's office. "This is not a divorce decision, but a hearing," the judge said. "We are here to determine the order of distribution of property and responsibilities in your life. If all parties come to an agreement, it will be documented in your divorce papers. If it is not possible to reach an agreement, I will make an interim decision until the trial at which all the evidence will be presented and decisions will be made." The judge asked Lily to wait in the lobby while he talked to her in a few minutes. Lily obediently got up and silently left the courtroom. Observing her behavior, the judge remarked, "She gives the impression of a very well-mannered girl. It's a pity that both of you couldn't resolve your differences." Carol replied with a touch of arrogance, "Thank you, Judge. I made a sincere effort to do this." I watched in silence as Carol's lawyer outlined a request for custody of Lily and also demanded alimony payments of $150 a week and another $100 a week. Carol also demanded the house and its contents, knowing full well that she would receive only half of its value. The judge, a shrewd man, got acquainted with the documents and informed us that in this state, divorce takes place without fault, which means that all the property will be divided equally. Carol's smug grin reappeared on her face. She was sure that she would achieve the desired result, but I decided not to enter into an argument and remain silent. Deep down, I couldn't help thinking that she had missed her true vocation as an actress. The judge looked at me, addressing me by name. "Mr. Royer, it was you who asked the court for an early hearing of the case. What are the reasons for your desire to divorce?" he asked. "Adultery, Your Honor," I replied, barely keeping calm. My wife, Carol, has been having extramarital affairs behind my back. I cannot accept the thought that my daughter will be exposed to such behavior." Carol, my future ex-wife, angrily interrupted me. "You can't prove anything," she screamed. "You're just pathetic. Show this person these alleged photos or phone conversations. Maybe you even have a video recording, but I guarantee you that there is no real evidence." Trying to restore order, the judge calmly urged Carol to calm down, and then turned his attention back to me. "Mr. Royer, do you have any concrete evidence to support your claims?" he asked. "I'm sorry, sir, but I have someone who can tell you about 2 incidents firsthand. Lily, my daughter, personally saw her mother's infidelity," I stated. "You're a liar!" exclaimed Carol in disbelief. "Lily was never present at this. How dare you use our daughter like that?" she continued. "He fabricated everything." The judge then asked Mrs. Royer a question. "Do you happen to know a man named Uncle Joe?" Mrs. Royer replied, "Yes, he is a family friend, purely platonic. I have never entered into any inappropriate relationship with him," Carol confirmed. The judge further asked, "Could you tell me how your daughter could have found out that Uncle Joe has a tattoo of a skeleton and crossbones on his buttocks? If necessary, we can issue a subpoena to give them testimony." "Oh my God!" Carol exclaimed, shaking her head in disbelief. "She has never witnessed this. It's impossible. If she had seen something, she would have told me. Lily specifically said she saw you and Joe when she was coming back for her bike. Not only that, but she claimed to have seen you with Warren. The reason she hid this information from you is that you were almost never around. Moreover, what did you expect from her?" I interjected. Suddenly, the judge made a decision. "Mr. Royer, you will have custody of your daughter, Lily, and Mrs. Royer will have extensive visitation rights," the judge announced. "The house and all its property will be assessed and divided equally," he added. John, my lawyer, spoke quickly. "Sorry, we hired a company to conduct an inventory and assess the current value of the property. The house was valued at $120,000 with the remaining debt at $70,000, resulting in a net worth of $50,000. In addition, the contents of the house were estimated at $30,000, resulting in a total net worth of $80,000, which also included 2 of our cars." Carol exclaimed, "Is that all? I personally bought this furniture, and it costs much more." "Unfortunately, Mrs. Royer, in a divorce, one of the parties rarely wins. Mr. Royer, you will receive ownership of the house and its contents, but you will have to pay Mrs. Royer compensation in the amount of $30,000. Both of you are allowed to keep your cars. Otherwise, if we choose an auction, the proceeds will be divided after paying off the debts. But it is worth noting that significant savings will not work," the judge explained. Carol expressed her displeasure by stating, "It's not fair that he got the house. I bought all this furniture with my own money." Despite this, the distribution of property in a marriage is not determined by who bought what, especially since there is no marriage contract. The division will be equal between both sides. The reason why he is being offered the house is your daughter, who is of paramount importance in this situation. She appreciates her friends and the environment she is in," the judge reasoned. "Mr. Royer, do you have the opportunity to receive the $30,000 needed to pay Mrs. Royer's share?" the judge asked. "Of course I can borrow money from my parents and return it in due time. It is unlikely that any of us will be able to get a loan from a bank while the divorce process is underway," I replied. "Mrs. Royer, I would like to touch on one more issue. I couldn't help but notice that both you and Mr. Royer seem to have the same income, which came as a surprise to me. After consideration, you wanted to obtain consent for Mr. Royer to pay weekly alimony in the amount of $150, but this amount will be paid by you. These payments are for your daughter," the judge stated. "You have received 3 days' notice to vacate the premises with permission to take only your personal belongings." "It seems unfair to me that I have to pay him money," Carol argued. The judge made the last word, offering the opportunity to challenge the proposed divorce and settlement agreement. Mr. Royer appears to have substantial evidence supporting his claim for custody of his daughter, and it is likely that the Justice Department will support him, the judge concluded. Feeling overwhelmed, I went out into the hall. Lily and I hugged heartily, realizing that the loss of her mother would be a difficult ordeal for her, but we were determined to overcome all the difficulties ahead. It wasn't over yet, everything was still ahead. Carol's reaction to the court's decision caused deep disgust. She thought about fighting this decision, but her lawyer informed her that the chances of winning were slim. To settle the matter, my father kindly lent me the money to pay off Carol. Every week, when the court sent me money from Carol, I dutifully handed it over to my father. Fortunately, my income was more than sufficient, and since Carol was no longer there, I even had the opportunity to save a little. Despite the good life, one annoyance in the form of Carol persisted. Lily said that every weekend she spent with her mother, Carol continuously asked her about me. However, Lily mentioned that Mom apologized for her behavior, which indicates that she respects Lily or at least tries to be a good mother. Over time, Carol began to come up with various excuses because she couldn't take Lily. Whether it was working late or on a business trip, she always had a reason. Apparently, she got a job as a secretary to several lawyers, but she refused to give me any details. I suspected that she did some work in an unusual way. It didn't bother me, as long as she hid it from Lily. One day, my father called me into his office, promising a surprise. When I entered, I was greeted by an old familiar face. It was Samantha, or as we always called her, Sam. When I was about 10 years old, Sam became a member of our family as a foster child. She was 12 years old at the time. Her parents were arrested for their involvement in the trafficking of illegal substances and sent to prison. In the midst of the trials, my parents were instructed to sell the house and property, and then they met Sam. When her mother offered to become her foster parent, she was no longer intended for a children's institution. Although people usually take younger children to raise, my parents realized that there was something special about Sam. She became part of our family until she decided to enter the service after graduation. I fell in love with her and felt her absence when she joined the Army. It was obvious from her actions that she cared very much about my parents. She did not hesitate to fulfill their requests and always showed respect. Being quite smart, I helped her with her homework, and she became like an older sister to me. I must have loved her in some way, although I never told her about it. When she left, I hugged her tightly, emotion splashing in her eyes. Unfortunately, I was in college when she came home on vacation. 10 years had passed since our paths crossed, and it was very nice to see her again. Her appearance was amazing, and she greeted me warmly, hugging me. To my surprise, my father informed me that he had hired her as a new secretary. She said that she spent the first years of her life in combat, but recently switched to working with computers and electronics abroad. Throughout the difficult period of my parents' divorce, Sam's radiant smile every morning was a much-needed source of comfort. It's worth mentioning here that Carol and Sam didn't get along from the very beginning. Sam confessed to me that she likes to watch people and she doesn't think Carol is reliable. Tom, I genuinely care about you, and I don't want to dictate to you how to live your life, but I don't advise you to trust her, Sam advised. I personally had my doubts about Carol. I heard rumors that even during the breakup she was still involved with someone else. It reflected badly on me, but I had to present myself in a better light so as not to risk losing Lily. My father invited Lily and me to a party on the set, which became a homecoming celebration for Sam. When we arrived, I was happy to introduce Lily to Sam, and they immediately became friends. It was obvious that a real connection had been established between them, and I was glad that they both found a new friend. But Carol, my future ex-wife, often came into the house under the pretext that she had forgotten something. Deep down, I knew she was just testing me. The anticipation that our impending divorce would be final overwhelmed me because it meant that I would no longer have any reason to tolerate Carol's presence in the house. Meanwhile, I waited patiently, taking my time. When Lily wasn't around, Carol wouldn't stop throwing her love affairs in my face. Not wanting to part with the past, I knew I shouldn't let it bother me, but unfortunately, it was happening. In the end, the long-awaited day came, marking the final registration of our divorce. Life went on as usual, although in a different way. It is worth noting that I sincerely treasured the moments spent with Lily. At that moment, she was the whole world to me. It is important to note that immediately after the birth of Lily, I discreetly conducted a DNA test that confirmed she was indeed my biological daughter. I decided not to tell Carol about it. Among the joyful moments in my life, there was also a dark side. I knew about the existence of Joe, Warren, and John, but I suspected that there were countless other men, although their names remained unknown to me. In a sense, this ignorance was a blessing. Deep down, I wanted revenge, but I didn't know what to do. Every time I caught a glimpse of these people passing by, they mocked me. I suspected that this was causing Lily discomfort, but she was silent. It became clear to me that I needed to find a way to respond, but how? While working, I encountered Sam on a daily basis. She became a ray of sunshine in my dull, everyday life. Our bond at work became even stronger since I finalized the divorce. One fateful day, I invited Lily to come with me to the office. To my surprise, she struck up a conversation with Sam. After leaving the office, Lily asked if Sam could join us for lunch and a movie. "I'm sure, Princess. Sam probably has other plans," I said with a smile. "Maybe she doesn't like pizza or watching a children's movie." "Personally, I love pizza and cartoons," Sam said, smiling. I didn't know what to say. It seemed that the two had already agreed on everything. I made an appointment and informed Sam that we would be coming to pick her up. We had a great time. On the way home, I suggested we should do it again sometime. Lily looked at Sam and eagerly suggested, "How about tomorrow night, Dad? We can make popcorn and watch movies about heroes together. Would you like to join us?" I was about to come up with another excuse, but Sam beat me to it. "I'd love to come watch TV with you and your dad," she happily replied. Despite the fact that I was very happy with her answer, I understood that it was necessary to restrain my emotions in relation to Sam. We were just friends, and I treasured the trust we shared. I wasn't going to jeopardize our relationship. When we got to the middle of the show, Lily dozed off peacefully, snoring. Sam turned to me, curious about my thoughts at that moment. I thought that I had a superpower that could rid me of the memories that destroyed my marriage. "Tom, you've won. It's time to let go," I quietly reminded myself, recognizing the need to move forward. Sam complimented me on having an amazing daughter, a full-time job, and a cozy apartment. Acknowledging Sam's kind words, I confessed that it's hard for me to get rid of the constant ridicule I face when I meet these people. "If I had superpowers, I could demand retribution," I said. Sam asked curiously, "If you could have any power, what would it be?" Not knowing what to do, I thought, is it possible to influence the circumstances instead of worrying about negative thoughts? I replied, "Let's focus on the positive ones." Despite my pure intentions, I longed for an impossible connection with Sam, yearning for moments of affection and intimacy. I had some thoughts that I decided to keep to myself. Sam got up to leave and expressed her gratitude for the invitation. She said she had a great time and asked me to kiss Lily for her. I hugged her and walked her to the door. The next morning, having prepared Lily for school, I dropped her off and headed to the office. As I was getting out of the car, lightning struck dangerously close to me. Although I don't believe the lightning hit me directly, it knocked me off my feet, causing me to hit my head on the car. The next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital bed. Sam was standing next to me. Confused, I asked her what had happened. I vaguely recall seeing lightning and then falling. Sam told me that the doctors confirmed that I had suffered a concussion after falling and hitting my head on the car. They did an MRI and assured me that I would be fine, although I would have to spend the night in the hospital. Worried about Lily, I asked about her well-being. Sam reassured me that she would pick her up from school and bring her to me. She also offered to spend the night with her if I agreed. Without hesitation, I expressed my trust. Feeling unusual sensations in my head, I expressed my concern. Sam reminded me that such feelings are natural after a head injury, but the doctors assured us that I would fully recover in a few days. "It's probably time for me to get back to the office. "Take care of yourself and be sure to listen to the doctors," she said, bending down to kiss me on the lips. The kiss was not just a kiss, but an absolutely amazing feeling. "By the way, I forgot to mention that one of your old college friends came into the office this morning. He said he'd stop by here to see you." She gave me another quick kiss and left. I wondered if I had some kind of superpower because she kissed me right after I wished it. I also couldn't help but guess who might come to visit. After dozing off, I suddenly woke up and saw my college buddy, Mike Calhoun, standing right in front of me. He mentioned that he had business in Ohio and suggested the idea of coming to visit me. During the conversation, we recalled the past, and I thanked him for his help in finding an interlocutor. We laughed, and he asked about Carol. I revealed to him the sad truth about her infidelity and subsequent divorce. However, I also mentioned the positive result. I have a beautiful daughter from this relationship. He said that he is happily married and has 3 children. Before leaving, he kindly reminded me that I can always contact him if I need anything. Again, thoughts of Warren and her shared laughter popped into my head. Just 2 days ago, he was standing in front of me, bragging to his friends about how he treated me. The desire for revenge seized me, but while I was considering my next actions, my gaze moved up, and I saw Lily standing there with Sam. "Hello, Princess. How are things at school?" I asked her. "Great, Daddy," Lily replied. "Sam informed me that you were struck by lightning and hit on the head." "I'm fine. I hope I can leave here tomorrow." Sam planned to take me to my grandmother's, but promised to come back later and take me to her. Happiness flashed across my face, and I answered, "I wish I could go with you." The doctor insisted on extending my stay in the hospital, and I understood that it was pointless to argue with him. To my surprise, Sam agreed with him, and I reluctantly made this decision. When she came up to me, her gaze met mine, and an irresistible desire made me bend down for another kiss, to which she willingly reciprocated. But Sam had something important to tell me. It seemed personal to her, but she thought I deserved to know about it. Curiosity and anxiety filled my mind, and I eagerly asked her what it was. Sam was a little nervous and quietly asked Lily to wait in the hallway. Then she confessed that she hadn't been completely honest with me. Before leaving the service, she spent 2 months in a psychiatric ward. "Maybe I wasn't crazy, but I did something that I think I need to share with you. Please allow me to fully explain the situation. We got together with friends at a bar, and as the night went on, some of the guys started getting excessively drunk. Their behavior towards me became inappropriate. Despite repeated requests to stop, they persisted. Feeling cornered, I grabbed a bottle of beer, trying to defend myself. But before I knew it, the military police arrived, arrested me, and took me to a psychiatric ward where I stayed for 2 months. Surprisingly, all the servicemen justified themselves by saying that their actions were just playful behavior, explaining it with some kind of syndrome. I just wanted to share the truth about my past with you. I'm really sorry that you had to go through this. You deserve so much better than this. I sincerely appreciate your trust in me." I couldn't help but wonder if I had pushed her to some extent to be frank with me. I knew I had to be careful with this new knowledge. While I was falling asleep, thoughts of her, Mike, and Warren did not leave me. The next morning, Lily and Sam woke me up happily, informing me that I could finally return home. They planned to invite me to breakfast at McDonald's. Although it wasn't my favorite place to eat, the pleasant company made up for it. When I got home, I immediately immersed myself in reading the newspaper. To my surprise, I came across an article that told about the unfortunate fate of Warren, whom I often encountered in the grocery store. By tragic coincidence, he died in the cold walls of his own freezer, as the mechanism of its opening was faulty, and he froze to death. The article reported that there were no suspicions of foul play. Rather, it was an accident. Just at the moment when I was processing this sad news, my father called, concerned about my well-being. Unfortunately, he was away while I was in the hospital and really wanted to visit me. After assuring him that everything was fine, he asked me to help arrange an insurance case at the grocery store where Warren worked. I realized that Warren was insured by our company. While processing the documents, I noticed that some people cast curious glances at me. They knew about Warren's bragging about being with my ex and naturally wondered if I had played a role in this situation. Over the next week, I successfully completed all the appointments that Sam had set for me. Before entering each house, I concentrated my energy on convincing them to purchase insurance. In addition, I managed to sell 2 houses this week. The result was satisfactory. My dad, Sam, and I were happy. But then the situation changed when I unexpectedly met John. I made an appointment with a realtor to put the house up for sale, but when I arrived, the door didn't open. After I rang the doorbell again, a pleasant-looking woman finally answered me. Introducing myself as Tom Royer, I reminded her about the meeting to sign the documents for real estate and mentioned that I had brought a sign for installation in the yard. Apologizing for the loss of time, I asked if we could start signing the documents while she was busy installing the sign on the lawn. I also suggested that she take a picture outside, but maybe come back another time to take some pictures indoors after she tidied up. She agreed, assuring me that it wouldn't be a problem. "I'll arrange for someone to come tomorrow and take the remaining pictures," I said, and headed outside to take some more pictures. As I focused on my task, a car parked on the other side of the street caught my attention. It was definitely John's car, familiar to me from the way I saw him at my house. It occurred to me that he might be avoiding Mrs. Diaz, who, as Sam mentioned, is going through a divorce and is going to sell her house. Maybe John is the reason for her failed marriage, too. It seemed that John was cheating not only on Amanda but also on Carol. Unable to resist, I dialed Carol's number to find out if she would be looking after Lily over the weekend. First of all, I wanted to tell her about my meeting with John. Although I only caught a glimpse of his car, that was enough for me. 2 days later, it became known that John tragically died while practicing on one of his simulators. It turned out that the weights he was lifting were too heavy, causing the barbell to slip, which led to his death. It is not surprising that the police launched an investigation into this sad incident. They paid me a visit, but I had a reliable alibi. At that time, I was at school with Lily. Unfortunately, Carol could not attend Lily's performance. In this regard, I couldn't help but wonder if my desire had influenced this sad outcome. I really hoped that Amanda, whom I suspected was not to blame for John's untimely death, deserved so much more than what she got. Although the police did not stop the investigation, they did not rule out the possibility of murder, despite the fact that it could have been an accident. My sales improved significantly, and my relationship with Lily couldn't have been better. Sam was becoming an increasingly prominent figure in our lives. When I planned to take Lily somewhere, she always asked if Sam could accompany us. I was puzzled by my thoughts and emotions. Did I intentionally crave these feelings for Sam, or did Sam want to join us because I unwittingly wanted to? Surprisingly, I despised this aspect of the situation. I wanted our trio to unite simply because we sincerely wanted it, not under duress. My plans were to develop a new residential complex where several construction companies were actively working. My responsibilities included the liability insurance of developers. I had to contact every construction company and make sure that the necessary insurance forms were filled out. Surprisingly, fate brought me together with the very company in which John Akers worked. He was known as Uncle Joe, the man Lily saw with my ex-wife. When I passed by, he was grinning, not paying attention to the effect it had on me. If only people understood the emotional impact such meetings can have on a person. When he was standing alone, I approached him with a feeling of curiosity. His expression reflected complete bewilderment as I gradually moved away from him. It was obvious that he had read the recent tragic news in the newspaper, and I was sure that he had also heard about the dissolution of my marriage. Soon, my friend Mike called me, informing me that he was going to pass by our city and offered to meet for lunch. We indulged in nostalgic conversations, remembering the good old days. During our meeting, Mike made me a generous invitation to join him on vacation in New York. Interested in my romantic life, he asked if I had a soulmate. In response, I confessed that I was not indifferent to one woman, but our relationship was not serious. I gave details about Sam, which made Mike perceive the situation as quite profound. In the evening, I called Sam and offered to join me on a trip to New York. Mike, my friend, kindly offered to show us the city. Sam quickly accepted the offer, leaving me to wonder if it was her sincere desire or influenced by my offer. Having planned an evening meeting, I left my daughter Lily in the care of her parents. When I was returning to the city after completing the paperwork, another car suddenly collided with my car. When I came to, I found that I was back in the hospital and Sam was sitting next to my father. I couldn't remember what happened, but I had the feeling that I was in a serious accident. My father broke the silence by informing me that I had been in a coma for 3 days. Sam and my mom took turns watching next to me. Worried, I asked about Lily's well-being. Sam reassured me that she was fine, but of course she was worried about her father like all of us. She was staying with our mom because we didn't want to put her in danger of seeing me unconscious. Her father promised that they would bring her to the hospital later. "Do you guys have something to share with me? It seems that you are hiding something from me and waiting for the right moment to tell me about it," I said. At first I thought it could be postponed, but since you brought it up, I have to inform you. Joe Akers passed away the same night you were in the accident. "How? Where?" I asked. "A few days ago, I noticed him at a construction site." "That's why the police were looking for you," he added. Sam took the initiative and continued. "Apparently his truck burst into flames right in front of Carol's house. According to the report, he was spending time with Carol and got into his truck when he left. Unfortunately, he had consumed alcohol and was in a high-risk group." I glanced at Sam, who understood my thoughts. I couldn't get rid of the thought that a car had crashed into me. Sam and Dad left, promising to come back later with Lily. Mom brought Lily to visit me, and their meeting caused me great joy. I asked about Sam, and Mom informed me that she was busy doing my assignments. "Tom, it's obvious that you genuinely care about Sam, don't you? Every time she's around, I can't help but pay attention to her," Mom said. "I'm sorry, Mom. She's a wonderful girl, and we all adore her. Remember, she was an adopted child, not your biological sister." "It's perfectly normal to have feelings for her," Mom reassured me with a warm smile. "But, Mom, I do not know how she feels. We never discussed it. She is so caring towards Lily." "I love Sam," Lily added. "She's beautiful and treats me so well. Sometimes I think she treats me even better than Mom. I believe she loves you too, Dad." Curious, I asked Lily, "Why do you say that, Princess?" "Every time she's around, I can't help but pay attention to her. I'm sorry, Mom. She's a wonderful girl, and we all adore her. Remember, she was an adopted child, not your biological sister. It's perfectly normal to have feelings for her," Mom reassured me with a warm smile. "But, Mom, I do not know how she feels. We never discussed it. She is so caring towards Lily." "I love Sam," Lily added. "She's beautiful and treats me so well. Sometimes I think she treats me even better than Mom. I believe she loves you too, Dad," Lily said. "Should I call a doctor, considering you had another concussion?" Sam said, laughing. I wanted to find out if I had lost my abilities. It seemed to me that yes, when I tried to use them in the hospital. "What exactly were you trying to do?" "The 3 men you wanted to take revenge on have already died at the hospital. I tried to ask for a steak," Sam said, laughing. "So what were you trying to do when I entered the room?" "I'm a little embarrassed. I can't reveal it." "Come on, you know you can trust me," Sam replied. "I was just checking to see if I could get you to kiss me." I looked at her, and she looked back at me, closing her eyes. I was completely unaware of her thoughts. If she wanted it, all she had to do was ask. Suddenly she leaned closer and pressed her lips to mine. "Tom, I've been waiting for you," she confessed. "Not knowing about your feelings and fearing to spoil our relationship, I hid my emotions. Ever since I came back to the city, I've become deeply attached to you. That's why I shared my past with you and even kissed you during your stay in the hospital. Although you didn't react to my kiss in any way, I thought you kissed me just because I wanted to. I wanted you to kiss me because that's what you really wanted." So do I understand correctly that you no longer possess any ability? Sam asked. Yes, that's right, I confirmed. All the forces have dissipated. In that case, take me to your bedroom and let us express our love physically. I'm more than ready. The next morning I woke up and immediately took a refreshing shower. When I came out, Sam greeted me with a smile and jumped into the shower. We were both sitting at the table, sipping coffee, when Lily came into the kitchen. "Good morning, Daddy." "Good morning, Sam." "Did you both spend the night here?" she asked. I knew the situation was a little awkward, but Sam only confirmed it by saying, "Yes, I stayed because I was too tired to go home." It was quite funny, but Lily didn't ask any further and just helped herself to a plate of cereal, continuing to have breakfast. During the trip to work, I plucked up the courage and confessed my feelings to Sam. I confessed that I loved her, and surprisingly, I was genuinely pleased that I had lost power over her. It was difficult for me to control her, but the most important thing was to know that when she says she loves me, it comes from her heart, and not because of any influence of mine. As Sam and I were getting ready to get out of the car, she leaned over and kissed me gently on the lips. I said very sincerely, "You know, I really love you, and I'm ready to do everything to make you happy and we be together." The day passed quite calmly until an uninvited voice broke the calm. Carol's presence in the waiting room caused a wave of contempt in me. "Where's Tom? I demand to talk to him right now." Carol's voice pierced the air. Ignoring Sam's presence, she boldly walked past her and burst into my office, quickly closing the door behind her. "I know that you are responsible for the deaths of my previous partners. I'll collect the evidence and get you arrested," Carol vowed, and her accusations hung ominously in the room. "You cannot escape the consequences of your actions." "I am absolutely not involved in the tragic deaths of your previous partners. Moreover, I have fully cooperated with the authorities in every investigation. In 2 cases, I was in the hospital, and in one of these cases, I was in a coma. To put all the blame on me, you need to perform an amazing manipulative feat," I replied calmly. "Leave my office immediately before I call security. I regret marrying you, as it was undoubtedly a mistake. The only positive result of our relationship is our daughter Lily. If I wanted to hurt anyone, it would be you." When she left my office, she slammed the door with force, but her voice echoed through the empty hall. Curiosity got the better of me, and I cautiously opened the door, straining my ears to hear the conversation. Since the closing time was approaching, there was no one nearby. Carol and Sam were having a heated argument, and it didn't bode well. Sam seemed to be in control of herself, and Carol warned sternly, "Look, you better stay away from Tom. You've already caused him enough trouble." Carol didn't seem to calm down and replied, "If you need trouble, you'll get it." Oddly enough, Sam wanted to tell her something as she handed Carol an envelope from Manila. Opening it, Carol was amazed by the collection of photos in which she was depicted with different men. Trembling with fear, she asked, "Where did you get them?" In response, Sam simply said, "Let's just say they were delivered to my desk." In each picture, Carol was depicted in a romantic setting with different people, and the date and time indicated that she was the last person seen with Warren, John, and Joe before their sad deaths. Desperately demanding answers, Carol demanded, "Who took these pictures? Was that you, or did you organize their shooting? Do you know who is behind the tragic death of my guys? I'm going to report this to the police and show them these photos," Carol exclaimed. "I advise you to think seriously about the consequences before revealing these pictures to anyone. Are you familiar with the spider Black Widow? She engages in sexual intercourse with her partners before destroying them. Perhaps you have a similar pattern of behavior with your lovers. You were the last person to contact them when they were still alive. I will inform the authorities that you have provided me with these photos," Carol replied. "I have gloves on my hands, so I can deny that I ever saw them. As I said, one morning I found these photos on my desk. Moreover, I have never crossed paths with any of these men. I think it would be wise for you to distance yourself from Tom and stop accusing him as well as me of any offenses related to the alleged killings," Sam suggested. "Tom is not aware of the involvement of other men, including your recent partner, Larry." How did you find out about Larry and the others? Carol asked. It's not so important how I got this knowledge. It's important that I have it, Sam replied. I have a recommendation for you, she continued. Carol asked skeptically, why should I pay attention to what you want to say? Because if you ignore my advice, then both you and your current partner may face some difficulties, Sam warned. Perhaps it would be better for you and your companion to move away from Tom and his influence. Your well-being may depend on it. I know that your law firm has several branches. I would like to suggest that you and Larry consider transferring to one of these branches at the earliest opportunity. As for Lily, you can have access to our daughter whenever you wish. At the same time, it should be noted that you are changing the brand, which is a wonderful person. I am here to protect him, and I ask you to inform us about the opportunity to see Lily so that we can arrange for her to come to you. Perhaps during the holidays, you will miss her very much. It looks like you're in love with Tom and want to exclude me from his life. I love both Tom and Lily, so it would be better if we move on and enjoy life without further complications. When I heard that Carol had left, I went out into the hall. Curiosity got the better of me, and I turned to Sam with a question. What were you arguing about with Carol? Sam calmly replied, just girl talk. I warned her to back off or face the consequences. I even suggested that she move to a neighboring city. Not wanting to delve into this topic, I decided to leave it as it is. If everything works out the way Sam suggested, I'll be fine with that outcome. Suddenly the following week, Carol called me. She told me about the potential promotion opportunity, but there was one catch. She had to leave next week. The new position would be at the opposite end of the state. Asking about Lily, Carol expressed a desire to see her before leaving. I made sure to arrange a last meeting for her before leaving. To my surprise, Sam and I got married just a month later. Lily's happiness was almost on a par with mine. Our parents expressed great joy and were pleased that we found each other. We spent our honeymoon exploring the bustling city of New York. Mike and his wife kindly provided their luxurious mansion as accommodation and acted as our personal guides around the city. Lily accompanied us on excursions, but in the evenings she stayed with Mike's children, allowing us to enjoy the nightlife of the city. When we were getting ready to return home, Mike left me one last reminder. Remember that if I ever give you my help, you can call me. Lily still visits her mother several times a year. Fortunately, we haven't had any other problems with Carol, and we continue to receive her monthly check. As for the mysterious deaths of Carol's partners, they remain unsolved. But I guess who did it? But I don't want to say it out loud. And I understand that if I don't even ask my dear friend for help, he will come to my aid. As life returned to a semblance of normalcy, Sam, Lily, and I formed a close-knit family unit. The past, with its painful memories, slowly receded, replaced by the warmth and love that Sam and I shared. Lily thrived in this new environment, her laughter filling the house once again. Our routine settled into a comforting rhythm. Sam and I continued to work together at my father's insurance company, and her presence in the office brought a newfound energy and efficiency. Lily adjusted well to her new life, excelling in school and making new friends. Every now and then, thoughts of the mysterious deaths of Carol's partners would resurface, but I pushed them aside. I had to focus on the present and the future I was building with Sam and Lily. One sunny Saturday, we decided to take a trip to a nearby park for a picnic. The weather was perfect, and the park was filled with families enjoying the day. We spread out a blanket under a large oak tree and unpacked the food Sam had prepared. Lily ran off to play on the playground, her cheerful shouts blending with those of other children. Sam and I sat close together, watching Lily and talking about our plans for the future. "I've been thinking," Sam said, her eyes twinkling, "maybe we could take a family trip somewhere this summer. It would be nice to get away for a while, just the three of us." "I think that's a great idea," I replied, squeezing her hand. "We could go to the mountains or maybe a beach vacation. Lily would love that." As we talked, a shadow fell over our blanket. I looked up to see a man standing there, a serious expression on his face. "Tom Royer?" he asked. "Yes, that's me," I replied, feeling a twinge of unease. The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a badge. "Detective Harris, State Police. I need to ask you a few questions about the recent incidents involving Carol and her partners." Sam tensed beside me, and I felt a knot form in my stomach. "Of course, Detective. What can I help you with?" "We've been re-examining some of the evidence from the cases," Detective Harris said, sitting down on the edge of the blanket. "There are a few inconsistencies that have come to light, and I wanted to get your perspective." I glanced at Sam, who gave me a reassuring nod. "I'll do my best to help," I said. Detective Harris pulled out a notebook and started asking questions about my whereabouts during the times of the incidents, my relationship with Carol, and any possible motives I might have had. I answered truthfully, explaining my alibis and the painful history with Carol. As the questioning continued, it became clear that the detective was thorough but fair. He seemed genuinely interested in getting to the truth rather than casting blame. After what felt like hours, he finally closed his notebook and stood up. "Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Royer," he said, offering a hand to shake. "Well, be in touch if we have any more questions. In the meantime, try to enjoy your day." After the detective left, Sam and I sat in silence for a while, processing the encounter. "Do you think they're onto something?" Sam asked quietly. "I don't know," I replied, feeling a sense of unease. "But I do know that we've done nothing wrong. We just have to trust that the truth will come out." We decided to make the most of the rest of the day, joining Lily on the playground and trying to push the detective's visit to the back of our minds. But as the days turned into weeks, the investigation continued to loom over us. One evening, as Sam and I were getting ready for bed, my phone rang. It was Detective Harris. "Mr. Royer, we have some new developments in the case," he said. "I'd like you to come down to the station tomorrow morning." I agreed, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination. The next morning, I arrived at the police station and was led into an interrogation room where Detective Harris and another officer were waiting. "Mr. Royer," Detective Harris began, "we've reviewed all the evidence, and it appears there are significant gaps in the timeline of the deaths of Carol's partners. We also have some new forensic evidence that points to a different suspect." I felt a surge of hope. "Who?" I asked. Detective Harris looked at his partner, then back at me. "It appears that Carol herself might be involved. We found traces of substances at the scenes that match those found in her possession. It seems she may have been more deeply involved in these incidents than we initially thought." The news was staggering. I had suspected Carol was hiding something, but this revelation was beyond anything I had imagined. "What happens now?" I asked. "We'll be bringing Carol in for questioning," Detective Harris said. "In the meantime, we recommend that you and your family take some precautions. If you feel unsafe at any point, contact us immediately." I thanked the detectives and left the station, my mind racing. Back at home, I told Sam everything, and we decided to take a few extra security measures around the house. A few days later, I received another call from Detective Harris. "Mr. Royer, we've arrested Carol," he said. "She's confessed to her involvement in the deaths of her partners. It seems she had been using them for financial gain and eliminating them when they were no longer useful." The relief was overwhelming. Carol's true nature had finally been exposed, and justice was being served. It marked the end of a long and painful chapter in my life. With Carol in custody, we were able to move forward with our lives without the constant fear of her retribution. Sam, Lily, and I continued to build our future together, stronger and more united than ever. The past, with all its betrayals and pain, was behind us, and a brighter, happier future awaited. Thank you for watching this incredible story of betrayal, resilience, and new beginnings. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more compelling tales. What would you do if you found out your spouse was leading a double life? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay strong and stay inspired. Thank you for watching. Subscribe on Deceived Husbands for more stories. The worst day of my life started out pretty well. I got up at 7 and did my morning workout. After lifting weights, I ran 4 miles. The fog was thick, and I was the only one on the trail. After my run, I cooled down by alternating between jogging and walking for another mile. When I got home and showered, my wife, Lisa, had my bagel and a glass of apple juice ready for me. I kissed her and gave her a hug while gulping down the juice. She complained about me wrinkling her clothes and messing up her makeup, but she eventually melted into my embrace. She still made my heart race every time I saw her. At 29, she was more beautiful than ever. Her dark blonde hair was now almost light brown and reached down to her waist. She had filled out nicely from the slender girl I took to prom back in high school. She was still a little over 5 feet tall, but proved that dynamite comes in small packages. She was a rising star at her advertising firm and was hitting her stride after the birth of our 2 boys. She had attracted a lot of attention on some high-profile corporate accounts, and they were talking about making her a partner. She was making almost as much as I was, and I was doing quite well. I had just been promoted for the 4th time and was the head of the architectural department at a large firm. I kissed her again, grabbed my briefcase and bagel, and headed out the door. "Have a great day, beautiful," I waved. She blew me a kiss as she started getting the boys ready for school. She went to work an hour after I did, and I had bedtime duty. My other baby was in the garage. I had only owned her for about 6 months. She was a deep blue Ford Mustang. I've been driving Mustangs since I was 16. My dad helped me buy a 1969 Mach 1 that's still parked under the shed. I get it out occasionally and drive it just to hear the roar of the big engine through those Flowmaster pipes. It's not as quick as the new Mustang, but I love hearing the Camaro and Challenger owners brag about their toys. Just 2 days before, one of the engineers was bragging about his new Camaro ZL1 with over 650 horsepower, trying to impress Tina in the next office. I smiled at the thought of my Mustang's 760 horsepower. I had a great day at work and finished the power plant design our team was working on by early afternoon, so I took the rest of the day off. I washed my car. It was a beautiful afternoon, and I could see my reflection in the polish when I put her back in the garage. Lisa texted me saying she'd be a bit late because she was in a meeting and would be home around 5:00. At 4:00, I was in the kitchen baking chocolate chip cookies. I had 2 trays done and a plate set on the counter when I heard the door open and 2 little voices coming through the living room. My boys, Jacob and Ryan, were home. They're identical twins and the cutest little bundles of joy. They have their mom's hair, freckles, and big brown eyes, but they have my complexion. Lisa can tan, but I'm naturally olive-skinned, and they got my skin tone. It contrasts with their hair and eyes, making them even more striking. At 8 years old, they were just adorable. They fought like cats, but only with each other. They were sweet as honey with me and never allowed anyone to say anything bad about the other. Lisa had a hard time dealing with them, though. They loved her deeply, but whenever she corrected one, the other would always take his brother's side, and they could argue as fiercely as their mother. They outdid each other, telling me about their day. School had just started a week ago, and they loved their new teacher, Miss Johnson. She was new to the district, and I had yet to meet her, but she certainly made an impression on my boys. I fed them cookies and glasses of milk while listening to them with a big grin on my face. They were my angels and could do no wrong. After they each ate 3 cookies, they went upstairs to do their homework, which was my rule homework right after school, so we had the rest of the evening free. I took the last tray of cookies out of the oven and put them on the platter when I heard Ryan call me. I started up the stairs, but my phone vibrating distracted me. I took it out and saw a text from an unfamiliar number. "You were one hot babe today. Can't wait until tomorrow afternoon." While I appreciated the compliment, I had no idea who would send me such a text since I had no plans other than work. I figured someone punched in the wrong number and decided to play along. "Thanks, babe," I replied. "Remind me again about the time and place." The response came quickly. "You using Mark's phone? Make sure you delete this. Can't have Mark getting suspicious too soon. Our place, of course." I froze halfway into the boy's doorway. "My name is Mark, and my phone number ends in 9. Lisa's ends in 8 and the boys' end in 7 and 6. Someone made a big mistake. I was numb, unable to move. Jacob looked up at me. "Daddy, we need help with these math problems." "What's wrong, Daddy?" Both boys stood up and stared at me, looking shocked. I shook off the cobwebs. "Nothing, boys. Just some bad news, but nothing to worry about. Let me see that math." 5 minutes later, I heard the garage door open. Lisa was home. I heard her walking around, and in a minute she poked her head in. "What's for dinner?" she asked. "Hey, sweethearts." The boys bounced up to hug her, then returned to their homework. Lisa came over and put her arms around my neck from behind, nibbling on my ear. "I'm going to grab a quick shower," she said. We finished the math, and I asked the boys if they wanted to go out to Pizza Palace. They were all over it, and by the time they were dressed in shorts and shirts, I was waiting in the car. "Isn't Mom coming?" Jacob asked. "She had a long day. Let her rest. We'll turn off our phones and have a boys' night out, okay?" They agreed, and we had a great time. I forgot to turn my phone off, and it vibrated a dozen times, but I ignored it, diving back into the games and pizza. We got home at 9:00, and Lisa was asleep on the sofa with her phone in her hand. I held my finger to my lips, and we tiptoed upstairs. They got in bed, and I went to the spare bedroom, locking the door. I lay awake until midnight when I heard a soft knock. "Mark, what are you doing?" Lisa whispered. "Open the door. Where did you go? And why is the door locked? Why are you in there?" I didn't answer, and she knocked several times, calling my name a dozen times before giving up. She obviously didn't want to wake the boys, and I heard her footsteps going down the hall toward our room, what had been our room. I didn't know what it was now. I got up by 7:00 and took my clothes into the garage. I heard her alarm go off as I was getting into my car. I saw her come into the garage just as the door went down, and I drove to the park. I usually ran at the high school track, but I ran at the park that day. My phone went off a dozen times, but I ignored it. I showered and got dressed at work, borrowing my friend Dan's car at noon. I felt like I was betraying everything I believed in getting into that little sedan, but I wanted to blend in. Lisa's car was at the office, and I pulled up across the street waiting. The windows were tinted, and no one could see me inside. At 4:00, Lisa came out and got into her BMW. I followed her at a discreet distance into the suburbs. When she turned into a subdivision, I knew where we were going. My brother John lived there. This kind of sucked. Now I knew why the number looked familiar. I never got along well with John, and we didn't talk much. The only time I saw him was at family events, and that was too often for me. I saw him put his hand on Lisa's hip 2 years ago, and I decked him. We hadn't spoken since, although his wife and Lisa spent a lot of time together. I parked across the street, and she pulled into his driveway. When she got out, she looked upset. She went inside, and I walked around to the back of the house. I had been there hundreds of times. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. John's wife, Sarah, was lying by the pool. This was just getting weirder and weirder. She was a stunning woman, sophisticated and elegant. She just exuded class. She looked up at me when she heard the back gate close, and a look of sheer panic crossed her face. "Mark," she gasped, "what are you doing here?" I walked up the steps to the deck as Sarah jumped up and came running toward me. "Mark, wait, don't go in there. I need to tell you something. Wait." The screen was shut, but I could hear them talking. Lisa was very agitated, and John was trying to calm her down. "I'm telling you, something's wrong," she said. "He slept in the spare bedroom last night, and he left without saying a word this morning." "This was a mistake, John. I need more time to get him on board. I love my husband, and I'm not risking my marriage and kids over this." "You can talk him into it," he told her. "We've seen the way he looks at Sarah. Don't get cold feet now. We've talked about this a dozen times, and you know you want to do this. Yes, I've loved it, but I don't want to lose everything. If he has sex with Sarah, he can't say anything, and we'll swap occasionally. You might as well, now that you're here. I can tell you want it. Yes, but not that bad. If Mark ever found out about this, it would kill him." "I'm not going to do it, John." I peeked in and saw them standing in the living room. He pulled her toward him and kissed her. She resisted for a minute, then let him kiss her. I snapped a couple of pictures and a short video. He was sliding down the zipper of her dress, and she was reaching around to stop him. I had seen enough. They jumped apart when they heard the screen door collapse, and I stepped through. Lisa screamed, "No, oh my God, no, Mark, this isn't what you think. Please, I'm so sorry." I kept walking toward them, and John backed away as fast as he could. I walked past them and out the front door. Lisa ran to me and threw her arms around me from behind. "Please, Mark, let's just go home. This isn't what it looks like. I promise I'll explain when we get home." I left without another word and got into Dan's car. All three of them came out and tried to chase me down. I drove back to the office and gave the keys back to Dan. After 30 minutes, my phone started ringing. I ignored it. 5 minutes later, my secretary Karen burst in. "Your wife is on line 3, she said. "Tell her I'm not available," I said. I spent the rest of the afternoon staring at my computer screen. "Your sister-in-law is on the phone," I heard 5 minutes later. "Put her through," I said. "What do you want, Sarah?" "Mark, we need to talk about this," she said. "Why aren't you at home?" "You need to talk to Lisa. She can explain everything. John and I will be there too. We'll talk about it like rational adults. This is your brother and your wife, Mark. You need to calm down." Why is it that when someone screws with you, they always tell you to calm down? "That just pisses me off more," I said. "I don't have a brother. If John is in my house when I get home, I'll tear him apart. If I see you there, I'll throw you out too. Don't ever let me see or hear from you again, Sarah. Tell John that if he sees me, he better start running." I hung up. 20 minutes later, it was my dad. "Mark, what's going on?" he asked. "Your brother and Sarah are here. They say you've been threatening them." Lisa called and she was crying hysterically. "What have you done? Lisa is screwing John and they were planning to trick me into wife swapping. Dad, I don't have a brother. If I hear that you've allowed any of them in your house after today, I don't have a father. If Mom lets them in or either of you ever speak their names to me, I won't have a father or mother. You raised that jerk and now you get to pick a side. Oh yeah, you won't have grandchildren either. You can't talk to me like that." He started to bluster and I hung up. Karen came in and asked me something, but I didn't hear her. "Mark, I asked you a question," she said louder. "Oh, sorry, Karen. What did you say?" "Are you okay?" she asked. Tears started running down my cheeks, and I couldn't stop them. She walked over and put her arm around my shoulders. "Did someone die?" "I'm so sorry, Mark. Who was it?" "I think it was my marriage and my family," I told her. The whole story spilled out as I buried my face in my hands and wept. 10 years of my life flashed before my eyes, 10 wonderful years with the woman I loved and thought loved me. "Did she sleep with him?" she asked. "I think so," I said. "She was going to do it again today. She thought I was onto them and wanted to call it off." "Why would she do this, Karen? I loved her with every cell in my body. I would have died for her. How could she do this to our boys? What did they ever do to deserve this?" "Mark, go home and talk to her," she said. "Find out the answers to those questions. You'll never rest easy until you do. Get out of here." I hugged her. "Thanks, Karen. You're a good friend. Please don't tell anyone about this." She looked hurt. "Jesus, Mark, how could you say that? You know I won't tell anyone." "I apologize," I said, and she hugged me again. "I know you're upset. Just go home and try to work this out." My phone had been going off ever since I got back to the office, and it rang on the way home until I turned it off. When I pulled into the garage, Lisa came running out. She stood beside the door, and I just sat there for a minute collecting myself. She started beating on the window with her fist. "Mark, just get out and talk to me. Please, I'm begging you. Just let me talk to you." I opened the door and she tried to hug me. I pushed her away. She was shocked I wasn't a violent man and had never laid an angry finger on her. "Don't touch me, Lisa," I told her. "You make me feel like I need a shower." She burst into tears. "Okay, I won't. Please, Mark, just come inside and let me talk to you." "You have until the boys get home," I told her. "When they get home, the talking is over, and we pretend that everything is fine. Do you understand? They aren't involved, and if you upset them in any way, we're done." "That's not enough time," she wept. "Can we talk again after they go to bed?" "I don't know," I said. "It depends on what you say between now and when I pick them up. You have an hour and a half. Make the best of it." "I will," she promised. "Please, can we just sit down?" I followed her into the living room and she sat on the sofa, patting a place beside her. I sat in the recliner across the coffee table. That made her cry again, and she put her hands over her face. I sat and waited. "You're wasting time," I finally told her. She got a towel off the bar and wiped her face as she sat back down. She could hardly talk, she was crying so hard. "I'm so sorry, Mark," she said. "I made a huge mistake. I never thought you'd find out. I love you so much. Your love stinks like rotting tuna. You better talk about something that makes sense," I said. "Don't be like that," she begged. "It sounds so cheap and dirty." "It is cheap and dirty," I said. "There's no way to wrap it up in a ribbon. That's what you were doing. You would have done it today if I hadn't caught you. I never intended to have sex with him. It just happened." "I'm so sorry," she cried harder. "I don't know what I was thinking. I was wild before we got married, Mark. You know that. I met John before I met you. I slept with him a few times, and after he met Sarah, we still got together occasionally, all three of us. I know you think she's hot, Mark. I thought the four of us could all be together. I thought you might enjoy it." "You had a sex session set up for this afternoon," I said. "No, I told them I wasn't going to do it," she wept. "Yes, because you thought I knew. What if I hadn't known?" "I wasn't going to have sex with him," she said. "It doesn't matter. You did know. How did you know?" "What difference does it make?" I yelled. "You were going to screw that jerk. Do you know what that makes you, Lisa? Please, Mark, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't think it would turn out like this. It doesn't have to be ugly. It can be fun. I'll still be with you. You can have sex with Sarah." I felt bile rise in my throat and ran to the bathroom to vomit. I heaved for a minute and she tried to give me a washcloth and pet me. I pushed her away and rinsed my mouth. We went back and sat down. "Do you hear what you just said? It can be fun. The next thing you're going to say is, 'It was just sex.' Jesus Christ, Lisa, do you know what a stupid cleach GC you've become? That makes me want to slap the hell out of you." "Yes, slap me, Mark. I won't say a word. I deserve it. Punish me. Do anything you want. Please just forgive me. I didn't think it would turn out like this. I didn't think it would hurt you so much. Please, Mark, I'm begging you. Do you still love me?" "Damn you, Lisa. How can you ask me that after what you did? I loved you yesterday morning and last week and for the last 10 years. That didn't stop you, did it? How in the hell do you expect me to trust you after this? How do you expect me to believe anything you say?" "I don't know," she wept. "I'll win back your trust. I'll prove you can believe me. I'll do anything. Just tell me what you want me to do. Do you want to have sex with Sarah or someone else? I won't say anything. Please just let me earn back a chance. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. Haven't you ever made a mistake?" "Yes, I've made lots of mistakes. I make mistakes every day," I said. "I forgot to pay the cable bill last week. I spilled paint on the garage floor. I didn't forget I was married, and neither did you. This wasn't a mistake. This was treachery. A mistake would be if you thought he was me. I don't know how to get over this, Lisa. You tell me how I get over this." "I don't know," she cried. "I'll do anything, though. We can get help. I'll go to counseling. I'll wear a bracelet. I'll quit my job. I'm desperate, Mark. I never wanted to hurt you. I don't want to lose the boys over this. Please give me a chance to fix this." "My God, the boys," I said. "I've got to go and get them." "Clean up, Lisa. If you aren't under control by the time I get back, I swear to God I'll kick you out of this house. Not a hint, do you understand? Yes, I'll take a bath. I'll be good, I promise. Can we talk again after they go to bed?" "You can't promise me anything, Lisa. Don't you make any promises to me," I shouted. "You threw away the only promise that mattered, forsaking all others." "Do you remember that promise?" She just collapsed. "Yes, I'm so sorry I did forget, Mark. Can we talk later?" "Yes, we can. I'm going now. Get your head on straight, Lisa." I was 10 minutes late to get the boys. When I pulled up at the school, I saw them sitting on a bench in front of the school, with a woman sitting between them, her arms around them. She looked like she was in her mid-20s, maybe of mixed ethnicity, Hispanic and black. She looked tall and slender with the biggest, warmest brown eyes I'd ever seen, flecked with gold, and a mop of glossy curls framing her beautiful face. Her skin was a light coffee color, flawless. She smiled as I approached, and her face lit up like a lighthouse. Her teeth flashed, and she nudged the boys. They looked up and saw me coming, jumped up, and ran across the grass to hug me. "You're late, Daddy," Jacob said. "I'm sorry, baby," I told him. "I lost track of time. It won't happen again." "It's okay," Ryan said. Miss Johnson stayed with us. She rose from the bench and walked over to offer her hand. "Mr. Carter, I'm Carly Johnson. I love your boys. I'm so lucky to have them in my class." "Mark," I said, shaking her hand. Her long, slender fingers felt cool and soft. I realized I was holding on too long and sheepishly let go. "Thank you so much for waiting with them." "I'm very sorry, Miss Johnson. Call me Carly," she said, smiling. "Come on, there's a Starbucks down the street. I'll tell you a story, and you can tell me one, okay?" I agreed and followed her to Starbucks. I ordered my usual triple espresso, and she got a latte with lots of foam. She took a sip and looked up at me. I couldn't help laughing. "I have a mustache, don't I?" She grinned. "Yep," I chuckled. She cleaned it off with a napkin, her huge brown eyes holding a peculiar look. "What's going on with you? Why were you driving so fast?" "Driving fast is like shots of whiskey for me. When I'm upset, I go for a drive or a run. It calms me down and helps me think." "Why did you need a shot? I'm not trying to pry. You just look like you could use someone to talk to." "Carly, are you married?" "No, I was engaged once." "Do you mind telling me why you're not engaged anymore?" I asked. "Yes, but I guess if you're unburdening to me, it would only be fair." She sipped her latte and gathered her thoughts. "I can't do this," she finally said. "I'm sorry, Mark. I need to go." She stood up, and I saw tears streaming down her high cheekbones. I stood up and walked over to her. I pushed her back down into the booth and slid in beside her. She protested, but I ignored her. I took one of her long, slender hands in mine. "I'm very sorry, Carly. I didn't mean to upset you. You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. I wasn't making a bargain. I was just trying to find a place to start. It's okay if you don't. Let me out. I'm going to slide under the table. I'm sorry, Mark, but I can't do this now. It's too painful for me." I let her out. She stood up and gave me a hug. Her luscious breasts pressed against my chest, and I was as hard as an iron bar in 2 seconds. "I just need to go. I'm sorry I couldn't help you." "It's okay. Will you let me buy you another cup of coffee sometime? I promise I won't make you cry. Girls usually need to know me for a while before I make them cry," I joked. She gave a wet little laugh. "It wasn't you." "Yes, call me sometime. I love your boys, Mark. I know you're a good father." She slipped away, and her yellow Camaro chirped the tires as she pulled out. It was time to pick up the boys. We did their homework and went out to Red Lobster. They were having that endless shrimp special, and we all loved shrimp. By the time we were done, our table looked like a shrimp graveyard. The next day was the 5K event. I had planned to run, but that went on hold because Lisa wasn't going to be there and I had agreed to work. We were at a table at the 3K marker with water and Gatorade for the runners. There was supposed to be another volunteer, but they hadn't shown up yet. I heard the car coming from a ways off, but couldn't see it because of the trees. I was shocked when Carly's yellow Camaro pulled up. She looked stunning in a pair of yellow shorts and a t-shirt that did little to hide her amazing figure. She stopped when she saw us sitting at the table. The boys squealed and ran over to hug her, then led her over. "Hey, Carly," I greeted her. "How did we get this lucky?" "The reward of virtue," she smiled. We all chatted happily for a while until I heard a vehicle coming. It was a huge Ford pickup, the kind guys get to advertise the size of their equipment or lack thereof. This one was massive, so the owner must have had a giant tool. The door was 5 feet off the ground. I recognized it. It belonged to the high school baseball coach, an aging high school sports hero who thought he was God's gift to the world, especially women. He had a shaved head and was about 6 feet tall, worked out, and walked with his arms nearly parallel to the ground so everyone could see how strong he was. His name was Hawk or Falcon, one of those raptor-type birds. He swaggered up to the table. "Carly, how you doing here, honey?" "Mr. Falcon, I am not going to tell you again not to address me by my first name. We're not friends, and if you call me honey one more time, I'm going to make a complaint that you're creating a hostile work environment." His jaw dropped. "You some kind of a dyke?" he asked angrily. "Your wife certainly didn't complain when I was licking her," Carly said. "She thought my tongue was bigger than your meat." The boys gasped, and he actually drew his hand back. I stood up, and he got a look at me. He probably had me by 20 pounds in 10 years, but he was a bully, and bullies don't like surprises. He didn't know me, so he went back to his truck. "Boys, I'm so sorry I spoke like that," Carly said. "That man has been pestering me ever since I came here, and I was sick of it. That's no excuse. I'm very sorry." Jacob hugged her. "That's okay, Miss Johnson. We don't like him anyway. He watches all the young girls on his track team. He's a creeper." Carly looked at me, and we both burst out laughing. "Remind me not to piss you off," I told her. "You got a mean streak there, Carly." The first runners started showing up, and we were busy as bees for a while. I asked the boys if they wanted to take Carly out for wings afterward, and they were very excited about that. She agreed to go with us, and we went home to clean up. I know this place that has some of the best wings on the planet. It was called Ben's BBQ, and was run by an old friend of mine. He was an elderly black man from Memphis, and he knew how to do wings. We had a blast, and I didn't want it to end. Carly and the boys kept my mind off of Lisa, and it felt good to just be human for a while. It couldn't last, and when I got home, I had a dozen missed calls from Lisa on my phone. I had turned it off all day, and it lit up like a Christmas tree the minute I turned it on. I got the boys in bed and called her. "Mark, I need to talk to you," she said. "Can I come over? Don't you have a date?" I asked her. "Is John too busy?" She sobbed. "Please just let me come over, Mark. I can explain." "Okay, come on," I said. I ended the call, and 30 minutes later, I heard her key in the door. I thought mean thoughts about changing the locks when she came in. She looked like a wreck. She tried to hug me, but I put out my hand and fended her off. "Lisa, I swear to God, if you touch me, I'm going to puke on you," I told her. She started crying immediately and went over to sit down. "Can I just talk to you?" She wept. "Let me just get it out." I sat across the table from her again. She stared at the floor. I know what Sarah said. Her voice was so quiet I could hardly hear her. "So you decided to come clean?" I asked. "Yes. I didn't want to tell you before because I thought you'd hate me. Sarah caught me, Mark. She threatened to tell you if I didn't. I told her I would, but I couldn't. You were so happy, and I couldn't bear to think about how it would make you feel. It was just no. I won't say it. I was drunk. We were at the boys' Christmas party at school one night. The kids had all gone home, and you went with them. We started drinking. You know how it is at those school things. Even Father Peter was tipsy. John and Sarah were there. I just started to talk to him. He kept telling me how hot I was. Do you know how long it's been since anyone besides you told me that? I feel like I'm getting old, Mark. My boobs are sagging a little, and my butt isn't quite as firm as it used to be. I grow hair in unusual places, and I don't think I'm as pretty as I used to be. Do you know how many men have hit on me over the years? I liked for men to think I'm hot. I danced with them, and they tried to feel me up. I would let them sometimes. I always knew that at the end of the night I was going home to you, and you were going to have sex with me until I walked funny. It just made me feel good to know that men wanted in my pants. They were never going to get there, but it made me feel good knowing they wanted to. Barbara Jensen was there. You remember her? She was a freshman when we were seniors. She was a pretty little blonde thing that always thought she was something special. She married one of the teachers at the boys' school. She said something to me about looking old. I was drunk, and it really hurt my feelings. Then John came over and asked me if I wanted to dance. He was as charming and handsome as ever and kept telling me how hot I was. He kept telling me how good it was back in school. I was drunk as hell and let him talk me into going outside on the porch in the back. It was so stupid, but I was just feeling very vulnerable. I gave him a blowjob, Mark. I'm so sorry. I felt disgusted with myself after I did it. I just couldn't believe I was the kind of person that would do something like that. I let him feel me up, and I gave him a blowjob. I didn't have sex with him, Mark. I just wanted to pay that witch back by showing her I could take a hunky man if I wanted to. I'm so sorry. Sarah came out on the porch with her date and caught me. She threatened to tell you. She called me all sorts of names and told me I was nuts for messing around on you. She said if I told you, she wouldn't mention it. I couldn't tell you. I was so ashamed and so afraid that you would leave me. I told her that I told you, and you had forgiven me. I wish I had told you. That's when it all started again. I screwed up, Mark. I'm a stupid witch, and I messed up. I'm very sorry. I hate myself, and if I've made you hate me, I don't know how I'll live with myself. I've never loved anyone but you, and I never will. Please, Mark, don't hate me. Please forgive me. I swear to God that if you let me make this up to you, I'll work like a slave to do it. I'll do anything you say. Please don't leave me. Please don't take my boys away from me. What can I do? I'll do anything. I know now that you'll never accept it. Lisa, I don't know what you can do, I said. I haven't had time to decide what I'm going to do. How can I trust you? You've lied to me several times. You told me you were working late when you were really shaking your butt and screwing John. What if I forgive you, and one day you have to work late? What am I supposed to think? How will I keep from wondering if you're screwing some guy or giving him a blowjob? How does that work? She was crying uncontrollably. I don't know, Mark. I only know I love you and the boys. I see what I've done. I see how my stupidity has damaged us and our family. I don't want sex anymore with anyone besides you, Mark. I've just been insane. You're an amazing lover, but I just got so horny thinking about what we did back then. It should be easy for me. I've got the message. What do you want to do? Do you still love me? That's the problem, Lisa. I do still love you. I'm just not sure you ever loved me. I'm not sure I believe you about anything. No, I'm sure I don't. I have to assume everything you tell me is a lie. Are you coming clean with me here? I'll never know, and I don't think I'll ever believe anything you tell me. Here's your chance. If you're hiding something, you should tell me now. It won't make any difference. I couldn't possibly be any angrier with you than I am right now. This is your one chance. I swear to God I'm being honest, she said. There isn't anything else. I love you, Mark. I don't love anyone else, and I never have. Don't say it, Lisa. You were going to cheat, and you did cheat. It wasn't, no, okay, I know you don't want to hear it. I just want you to understand it didn't mean anything to me. I'm not in love with John and Sarah. It was just exciting sex. I thought you might like to join us. I can see now that you never would, and it was a mistake. Well, it sure as hell meant something to me, I told her. The fact that it didn't mean anything to you is the problem. If I screwed some stranger, would that mean anything to you? It's not the same thing, she said. We were going to include you. You were going to get to have sex with Sarah. She's hot for you, Mark. It's exactly the same thing, I told her. Screw this. If you're going to try to slide around and evade responsibility and minimize what you've done, this isn't going to work. I'm going to see a lawyer tomorrow, Lisa. I suggest you do the same. What? She asked. Why do I need to see a lawyer? When I file for divorce, you'll need one. I told her. She gave a little screech and collapsed. I didn't say anything, and she wept for about 5 minutes before she could speak. I don't want a divorce, she sobbed. Please, Mark, why do you want a divorce? I told you I'd do anything. You won't even step up and accept how badly you messed up, I told her. You're trying to make excuses and minimize your cheating like it wasn't anything. No, I'm not, she protested. I see how badly this has hurt you, and I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to get you to understand that I love only you. They didn't mean anything to me. You're my man. So you were willing to screw me over for people that didn't mean anything to you? Is that supposed to reassure me? I asked. I don't know what I'm saying, she wept. I'll say anything you want me to. I'm just trying to say something to get another chance, to get you to forgive me. Tell me what you want me to say. How about I'm sorry, Mark. I screwed up, and it will never happen again. Yes, I am sorry. I screwed up, and I won't do it again. She wept. Can I please come back home, Mark? I'm dying without you. It's killing me that I can't be around the boys. I'll do anything. I'll sleep in the spare bedroom. I'll be your slave. I'll cook and clean, and you can use me any way you want to. You can have girlfriends or whatever you need to get over this. I actually might, I told her. Do you know that I met someone? I'm very interested in her. I was afraid of that, she said. Go on a date with her. Bring her over here and I'll cook for you. I'm as serious as I can be, Mark. I'll do anything to be part of your life. I'll serve the dinner, and treat her nice if that's what you want. I just want to live with you and the boys. If you want to have sex with me, we'll just be sex buddies. Just give me a chance to win you back. I'll never have another man for as long as I live. If you need to get revenge or punish me, I know I deserve it. I'll take my lumps and never complain. Just give me a chance. Let me think about it, I told her. I'll call you tomorrow and let you know what I decide. Don't say one word to the boys, okay? No, I won't. I'll do anything you say. Thank you for talking to me, Mark. I know I don't even deserve that. You're a good man and I'm taking advantage of you. I'm sorry, but I can't help it. I'm dying inside being apart from my family. Maybe you should have thought of that. No, forget that. I won't beat you up. I need you to talk to some people, Lisa. Pastors or counselors or something. I don't think you have the right moral compass. Will you do that? Yes, I'll do anything, she said. She left, and I lay awake most of the night thinking. I didn't want her back. The idea that she couldn't take what she had done seriously, that it didn't mean anything to her, messed with my head. How could I take her back when she didn't even see anything wrong with what she did? The only thing she regretted was hurting me and nearly losing her family. That was so messed up on so many levels. I didn't know where to start. The problem was the boys. How could I destroy my babies' lives by kicking their mother to the curb? I drifted off to sleep, still confused about what I should do. I got some clarity in the morning. The boys loved their mother, and she was a wonderful mom. They didn't deserve any of this, and I needed to make their lives as good as possible. I was certain that living with a cheating wife wasn't good for them. I called into work and got the day off. When the boys got up, I told them I was taking them out of school so we could talk. It was the most difficult talk of my life. I didn't tell them that their mother was a cheating wife. I just told them that we had some issues that we needed to work out. She wouldn't be living with us, and we were trying to work on our problems. They cried like someone had died. At first, they accused me of ruining everything, but when I told them I hadn't done anything, they figured it out. Did Mom do something bad? Ryan asked. Daddy, did she cheat on you? I'm not going to tell you anything bad about your mother, I told them. She loves you very much, and you shouldn't blame her for anything. This has nothing to do with you boys. You're the best boys I could ever imagine, and we both love you with all our hearts. Just give me a chance to work this out, okay? They reluctantly agreed, and we talked for a long time. I called Lisa and met her for lunch. She was distraught when I told her I needed some space. I get angry every time I look at you, Lisa, I told her. You need to stay away from me. I've decided that I can never forget what you did. You may have cost me any relationship I have with any of my family. I'm divorcing you, Lisa. I'll let you see the boys anytime you want to. We have a prenuptial agreement that if either of us ever cheated, the innocent party keeps the house. You won't be hurting for money. I'll make sure of that. Now the witch came out to play. She called me every name in the book, promised to turn the boys against me and clean me out in court. I wished her well and walked away. Carly called me after school and was worried about the boys. She noticed they weren't at school and was very concerned. I promised her they were okay, and she asked if she could come over Saturday and talk to me. There was a car event on Saturday, and I planned to drive in it. I asked her to go, and she agreed. Lisa picked up the boys in the morning, and I went to pick up Carly. She was as gorgeous as ever, wearing the tightest jeans I had ever seen. The sway of her hips made it hard for me to speak. We had a 50-mile drive, and we talked a lot. She finally broke down and told me her story. She had been engaged to a businessman in her hometown. They met in high school and fell in love. She thought she was so happy that she must have missed some obvious signs because she caught her fiancé GC in the cloakroom with one of her bridesmaids at the wedding. She left without saying a word to anyone and just drove away. She never contacted anyone in her hometown again. She wound up in our town and got a job teaching at the boys' school. She was obviously upset, and the memory was still fresh and painful. I knew exactly how she felt. I told her what was going on with Lisa and me. Her eyes were filled with tears when I finished, and mine were a little misty too. She leaned over and put her head on my shoulder. Her hair was a big mop of curls that stuck up every which way. It was the sexiest thing I had ever seen. My phone buzzed after we got to the show. It was my mom. "Mark, we need to sit down and talk. I'm calling a family meeting. John and Sarah are driving down, and we'll meet here at the house." "Is John going to be there?" I asked. "Your brother has some things he needs to tell you. I told you what was going to happen. Don't call me again." "Mark, don't be like that," she begged. "Okay, he won't be there. Will you come?" "Hold on a minute," I told her. Carly was trying to get my attention. "Talk to them, Mark. It's the only way to move on." "Have you talked to your family?" I asked her. She grinned ruefully. "No, but I know I should, and so should you." "Okay, Mom. When is this meeting?" I asked. "Dinner tonight at 6. No dinner. I'll be there at 7:30. I ended the call. I had a good time with Carly. She held my hand while we checked out the cars. We talked a lot on the way home, and I asked if she would come over afterward so I could fill her in. She promised, and I dropped her off at her place. I was dreading the hell out of this. I went home to my empty house and tried to eat a little. It just made my stomach upset, and I took a couple of antacids. I got the old Mustang out and fired it up. It just felt right, and that rumble soothed my nerves. I'm sure they heard me coming a block away, and Mom came to the door before I got there. She hugged me, and I just stood there stiff as a post. When she looked up at me, there were tears in her eyes. She didn't say anything. She just took my hand and led me inside. I heard the lock click behind me, and Dad was standing in front of the door with a baseball bat. "We're not going to let you tear this family apart with your stubborn pride. Go and sit your butt down." Well, this was going to be interesting. My sisters, Laura and Helen, took my arms, and I sat between them. Then out of Mom's bedroom marched the three cheaters. I looked over at Mom. "As your brother, she's your wife, and Sarah's your sister-in-law. We can get past this, okay? Mom, you just lost your son and your only two grandsons. He's a jerk, not my brother. His wife is a bisexual witch, and that's the cheater. I guess that makes you Mama cheater. That's the pimp over there by the door." "And what are you two?" I asked my sisters. "We just love you, Mark," Laura said. "We're down with whatever you want." "I want to leave. You want to come and stay with me tonight?" "I want to introduce you to someone." "Girls, I thought you were going to help." Mama Cheater started to panic. "Yes, we're going to help," Helen said. "What? You thought we were here to help these scumbags?" We stood up together and walked toward the door. The pimp made a motion with his bat, and I kicked him in the nuts. He dropped his bat and sank to the floor, making a little wheezing scream. I picked up the bat and turned around. John saw death in my eyes and took off, running through the kitchen and out the back door. I turned to Sarah. Her eyes went wide, and she started scrambling to follow her jerk husband. I threw back my head and laughed. "I'm filing charges against you for unlawful imprisonment," I told Mama Cheater. "Don't call, don't write, don't send cards, and don't attempt to contact the boys. I'm getting a restraining order against all of you." She sank to her knees, weeping hysterically. "Please, Mark, don't do that. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you." "Too late," I told her. "You had your chance. You picked a side. Good luck with the rest of your life. Too bad you're going to spend it with people who cheat on their spouses." "The restraining order is going to be for you too," I told the cheater. "You're mentally unstable, and I'll never leave the boys alone with you again." Helen went upstairs and got the boys. They looked at everyone oddly but didn't say anything. The cheater was crying hysterically. We walked down the driveway. "You want to drive?" I asked Laura. I tossed her the keys. She squealed in excitement. "Really, Mark? I always wanted to, but you never would let me." "You made the right choice," I told them. "I love my little sisters. I let them drive my cars." We got Chinese takeout on the way home, and Helen took a turn trying to break our necks. I called Carly on the way home, and we got food for her too. The boys went flying across the room when she came in and threw themselves on her. They each took a hand and led her over to their aunts. "This is our teacher, Miss Johnson," Jacob introduced her. "I think she's Daddy's girlfriend too." Carly was blushing furiously and just looked adorable. "Jacob, we're just friends." "You shouldn't say things like that." "Well, since Mom cheated, we want you to be with Daddy," Ryan told her. "Boys, that's enough," I scolded them. "You're embarrassing our guest. Off to bed with you." "Sorry, Daddy," they said softly, and Helen and Laura took them upstairs to read their book. Carly and I were left in awkward silence. I walked toward her, and she looked a little frightened. I took her hands and pulled her in for a hug. Her curls tickled my chin, and she melted against me. "How about it, Carly?" I murmured. "Want to be my girlfriend?" She tilted her head up to look in my eyes. Those huge brown eyes were full of golden glitter. "I might," she whispered. "Kiss me and then I'll decide." Her lips were the softest, sexiest pillows I'd ever felt. A little pointed tongue tapped my lips, and I let it in. I swear to God, I nearly came in my pants when I felt that. Her luscious body was pressed tightly against mine, and she made a little moaning sigh that made me crazy. She pushed back a little and looked at me, evaluating my emotions. Evidently, she liked what she saw because she let me pull her in again, burying her face in my shoulder. "I won't be with you until you're not with her," she told me. "I understand," I told her. "I'm not her, Carly. I won't become her either. It's going to take a while to resolve all this. I've got the rest of my life," she said. She kissed me again and made my toes curl before I walked her out to the car. I went to see a lawyer the next morning. Her name was Marcy Gray, and she was very rude. I think at first she thought I was dumping my wife for an upgrade. She was about 40, very curvy and pretty too. I wanted her to like me, but we got off on the wrong foot. "If you're here to get out of paying child support or alimony, you need a different attorney," were the first words out of her mouth. That pissed me off. "Okay, that's not why I'm here, but thanks for seeing me." I got up and walked out. I stopped at her secretary's desk and asked how much the appointment was. She opened her mouth and Miss Gray cut her off. "What the hell is the matter with you?" she yelled. "You can't just walk off like that." "Watch me," I told her. "I don't know who the hell you think you are, lady, but you can bite me. I don't have to listen to insults, especially not from people I employ." "Screw off." She swelled up like a toad frog. She opened her mouth, then started laughing. She laughed until she cried and came to get me by the arm. "I'm sorry," she was wiping the tears of mirth away. "Sometimes I forget that there are decent men in the world. I see so many jerks every day that I forget. Nobody has talked to me like that for years. Please accept my apology. Come back and talk to me. Tell me what's going on." Despite my misgivings, I let her lead me back into her office, and she poured me a very good scotch. I told her the story, and she got rude all over again, but it was directed mostly against my ex-family and the cheater. She buzzed the secretary and got her to bring in forms. I paid her a retainer and signed my name 10,000 times. She promised to get the restraining order that afternoon and start the divorce as soon as possible. She shook my hand, and the ball started rolling. In 3 days, the cheater was served, and my ex-family was charged with unlawful restraint and terroristic threats. The pimp even got charged with attempted assault for his actions with the baseball bat. John and Sarah were served for inflicting intentional emotional distress, and life looked good. The boys were with me, and the cheater was forbidden to come within 500 feet of us. When I came out to get the paper Saturday morning, she was standing at the end of the block. She saw me and yelled, "Mark, please let me see my boys. Please, I'm so sorry. It wasn't my idea. Please, I'm begging you, let me see my boys." A couple of neighbors came outside to see what all the yelling was about. I walked down to where she was, and she fell on her knees in front of me. "Please, Mark, I'm begging. I'll crawl up to the house if you want me to. Please let me see the boys." "Get up, Lisa," I told her. "You're embarrassing yourself and me." "I don't care about me," she said. "I know I've lost you, Mark. I can't lose my boys. I won't embarrass you anymore. Please, just for 5 minutes, let me see them." She clung to me, and I lifted her to her feet. "Okay, you can see them," I told her. "Lisa, I told you that you could see them anytime you wanted to. Then you went and pulled that crap at my parents' house. I swear to God, one more insane moment like that and you're done. Do you understand?" Yes, I do, and I won't do anything crazy. Thank you, Mark. I'll be good." We walked back to the house, and the boys were eating waffles. They flew to her, and she knelt down, hugging them like life preservers in a hurricane. She was sobbing her heart out and telling them over and over how sorry she was and how much she loved them. They cried a little too and told her how much they missed her. I fixed her some breakfast, and we all sat around the bar and ate. She promised them and me that she would be their mom just like before, but she wouldn't be living with us. I think they understood and agreed to stay with her every other weekend. I told her she could come over any time during the week she wanted. They went off to watch TV, and we sat and talked for a while. "Mark," she began, "I'm so sorry for what happened at your parents' house. I didn't want to do it, but your mom said we could fix everything. I realize that's not possible now. I know I've hurt you too badly, but I'm sane now, and I just want however much relationship you will give me. I want to be friends, okay? I want more than that, but I realize it isn't going to happen. I'll just be the best friend you ever had. I'll be the boys' mom, and we'll move on with our lives. I'll sign the divorce papers, and I won't fight it. The financial stuff is fine. I'm going to move into one of our apartments. There's a vacancy next week, and it's a nice one. Can we be friends and co-parents, Mark? We'll have to work on the friends part," I told her. "Most of my friends don't know, never mind. I'll try, Lisa. Honestly, I will. I just have a lot of bad feelings toward you right now. I'm sure time will heal a lot of that, and we'll get along just fine. Just so you know, I'm not getting back together with you, Lisa. If you've really given that up, then I'm sure we'll be fine. The first time you go on a date, come and tell me about it, and then I'll believe you about moving on. Well, start working on being friends then, okay?" There were tears in her eyes, but she nodded and hugged me. I felt sorry for her, but it wasn't on me. I offered to take her home, but she told me she was parked down the street. At the door, she turned and looked back. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know," I told her. "Me too. Don't keep apologizing, Lisa. I believe you. Let's just move on. I forgive you. I'm still mad, but I'll get over it, okay?" The boys went to the car show with me, and we had a blast. It was a great day, and it got better when Carly showed up. She was really nice to Lisa, and she charmed my folks and sisters. When we got home, she wanted to take a nap with me, and it was the best sleep I'd had in a year. Her curls covered my face, and she smelled like lavender and vanilla. I think I was going to be okay. I took the cheater's advice and went to talk to my pastor. The only thing she did right was the one that counted the most. She taught me to move on. I was going to be fine. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more real-life drama. What would you have done in Mark's situation? Let us know in the comments below. See you in the next video.